you, Bob.
They roll. Practicing for Sunday's conditions here.
Look like you're doing some wet ball drills today or something?
Yeah, we had to mix that in a little bit there. Looking like we'll get some rain and wind on Sunday, so we'll see how it plays out.
I guess it's always important to run the ball, but given those conditions, where your running game is at right now, how much does that help bring everything together, weather conditions, everything else in the offense?
Yeah, I think every game that we can run the ball efficiently is going to allow us to be balanced, allow us to marry the run and the pass together and stay ahead of the sticks. And, again, I think we did a good job with the run game, allowing us not to get into a lot of third down situations. We were able to execute in the ones that we had, but I think we only ended up with 9 in terms of the ones without the penalties. So anytime we have a good running game, I think you'll see the direct results of the efficiency of the day.
Why does Geno look so poised in those third down opportunities?
I think just his experience, allows him to be totally composed and in control throughout the course of the game. And when those third down moments come up for Geno, they're really no different than the first and second down opportunities or the red zone opportunities he has. He's able to play every play as its own individual entity with that great poise and composure and diagnose the defense and make sound decisions.
Did you always notice that in practice here? I mean, like last year, he was your first, I guess, you're working with him and everything.
Yeah, going back to last year when he was prepping as the backup, I thought that was one of his elite qualities, was that he was preparing every week, every practice like he was going in as a starter. So whether it was a third down compete period against the defense or in the middle of an OTA or in the middle of the season last year where we're going against the defense, Geno always is prepared the same way, and I think that's allowed him to gather all that information throughout the course of his career and lead him to the spot that he's at now.
He gave the first team defense a lot of fits as the scout team guy.
Last year, yes. Yeah, he did. He did a nice job with it, a lot, especially in training camp when he got more of those opportunities to go against the D, and then during the year when he was running the scout team, like we talked about with the way Drew's doing it now, or the way Sean Mannion's doing it when they get those scout team reps, treating those as, if everything doesn't blow over right now, treating those as real reps and not just and going out there and kind of just mindlessly reading a card.
When you're going multiple tight ends, are you consciously trying to motion more?
I think the motion just depends on which personnel group we're getting and what the defensive structure is. So there's always going to be an intent behind the motions. A lot of times when you're in the 12 personnel groupings, that gives you some flexibility to motion in and out of different looks, and the ability of our tight end group to play in multiple roles and not just have one guy have to do one specific thing has allowed us to motion into some different formations and give some of those illusions for the defense.
How has that helped our blocking, you think, with your angle?
Yeah, I think just giving them a good pre-snap picture, and again, that's going to depend on each individual play, but there's always going to be the intent behind the motion, to get us into a better angle potentially there in the run game, or to get us something to look at. But each one's going to have its own separate reason behind it.
We asked you this summer how Kobe Parkinson's blocking's come. How has it come even since the summer?
I think now that we get a chance to have the pads on and going in these game reps, I think his physicality's really shown up. He's playing with length. He's a big guy, and he's starting to play behind his weight more and more, and playing underneath his pads. And I think not the easiest thing for a guy that's over 6'7", and he's just done a nice job. And I think he's another guy that's a culmination of his weight room work ethic and his off the field preparation, where he's really changed himself in terms of going from a real pass threat in college and really split out a lot to being a tight end in the NFL that can play in line or in motion or split out as a receiver.
Just with that alone, is this year way more what you wanted to do offensively? The breadth at the varying.
Every year is its own different year, and I think this year, like any year, the job that we have as an offensive staff is trying to fit it to our players and to the players that we have on the current roster. And I think with the flexibility of the tight ends and the receiving group and those guys being able to mix in and out, and we've done it with the running backs as well, I think that depth that we really started in training camp with and that led to a lot of competition has also led to a lot of the guys that are maybe the second or third team guy, having the ability to go right in the game and get meaningful reps throughout the game.
In what ways does the attention to detail that Sanjay emphasizes with his receivers show up on Sundays?
Yeah, I think both Sanjay and Brad Isaac have done a nice job with the receivers in terms of the individual prep, the work that they do with the details at the top of routes, or winning versus the tight man-to-man coverage, and then also recognizing zone coverages. So all the things that go into playing receiver day in and day out, they've done an excellent job of getting those guys to where they need to be, and not just one guy. We've had a lot of guys, especially this past week when unfortunately DK goes down with an injury there. Other guys are constantly stepping up, stepping into the role, and it's nice from my vantage point where we just have to have that next man up mentality, and you feel confident in the next guy that goes in. Whether it's D. Eskridge or Derek Young, Marquise had a great game this past week. So all those guys have done a good job embracing it and working on the details.
When someone as uniquely physical as Metcalf gets hurt, is there a section of playbook that just gets set aside that you can't?
I think with all of our guys, there are certain plays that you're calling with the intent. Whether it's Tyler or DK or the different guys throughout our program. There's going to be some that were maybe specific to a guy, but anytime that a guy like DK goes out of the game, it's not one person that's going to necessarily replace him. It's all 11 that are out on the field that are going to have to step up their game and so that's just our approach with it. And you don't necessarily scrap the entire playbook just because of one guy. You have those plans and those thoughts of, okay, where's the ball going to go next, and just being one step ahead of that in the planning.
The Giants are known for blitzing a lot. What do you kind of see, I guess, and how they do that? What sort of is a challenge for you guys?
Yeah, I think Coach Martindale does an extremely great job of pressuring a lot of different packages, personnel groups that are, shifting week to week, looks that are shifting week to week, and they're able to generate a lot of pressure. They're excellent on third down. They're excellent in the red zone, and a lot of that stems from these exotic pressures, these looks that they're able to get to and generate pressure on the quarterback and get the ball out when a little bit earlier than you want to, or leads to some sacks or some potential pressures and turnovers.
The way their nose tackle is getting all the sacks
Sorry, the wind I couldn't.
Oh yeah, their nose tackle is getting all the tackles. How is he sort of? Is he just kind of winning a lot of battles, or is he getting some of those when they do that as well?
He benefits from some of the games, but man, is he a good one-on-one player? He's strong with his hands. He's quick to close, and they're just strong up the middle with Williams and Lawrence. They got a good interior pass rush, interior power players there that can get to the quarterback on their own, and then they're going to benefit when they get some of their pick stunts going as well.
How wide-ranging are the learning styles of your guys on offense? Some guys got to see it.
Sure. I think throughout football, just like anything, to me, you're teaching and guys are learning, and there's no one size fits all for everybody in terms of learning. Just like I think we were able to learn through COVID, through the different times of who can still learn efficiently on a Zoom meeting versus who might have to say, like, we need to spend a little time extra on the phone there. You go through that process every year of as a coach. Our job is to learn our guys. What style of learner are they? Are they a guy that's a great visual learner, a guy that's more verbal, a guy that learns by video? And so then it's our responsibility to find out what's the best way to get to each person so that on Sunday when they're ready to go, that they know exactly what to do.
Where does he fall in the learning style?
Geno's a good combination. Geno you can talk through because, again, he's got such a vast experience of different looks. So when you reference a look or reference a play from the past or a coverage from the past, he can see it right away in his mind. He can see where all 11 are on defense, can talk through it. And then, you give him the playlist right there. He's pretty good. But he'll still use the pictures to go through the pictures of the plan and then the video. So putting it all together. But a guy, generally speaking, I'd say the longer guys are into it, the more, of an inventory they have to reference in their mind. So there's a little bit more of the verbal communication as opposed to, all video or all pictures and the drawings that we do for our plays.
This inventory of the defense he's gone against and coaches he's played against, was that particularly helpful last year when he was the scout team guy?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was really helpful in the room, as in that role, just like the way that Drew and Sean are this year. These quarterbacks that have, had their own experiences. I think it's great for us as coaches to be able to teach them. But when they get those guys that have actually gone out there and lived through those experiences, they're great sounding boards, and they have a great inventory of different experience of how a play, may have played out for them in the past, where they can add their information to that can help us do it a little bit better.
With Smith, what have you learned this year maybe you didn't see when he wasn't starting?
I think just his total control of the leadership of the quarterback position, which not to say that he wasn't like that last year, just wasn't the role that he was in. And so when he was named the starter, he competed throughout that whole training camp without batting an eye in terms of the competition element of it. He just wanted to go out there and do the best that he could to win the job. And then when he's officially named the starter, I thought you really started to see, his day in and day out leadership come to light. He's here early like he always is, but you start seeing him bringing other guys along with them and guys gravitating towards him more and more, which I think comes from the success on the field that he's having, but then also his just natural charisma as a person, where guys want to be around him, want to play hard for him.
He was talking to us about the first touchdown in LA. Was a comeback route called for Goodwin. And you told him, how often does that happen where he's improv that into a big player's score?
Yeah, he's done a great job on any of those. We called the toolbox that the quarterback has, where kind of go back to referencing different looks that he's seen throughout the course of his career. So you're able to, as a coach, give him this toolbox and give him these elements of a play where, all right, here's it if it's one coverage, but if they want to do something else, or you have a premier look to potentially get to a go ball or get to a different play in those scenarios, Geno's really nailed it in those times that we've had those presented this year.
So that's an either or is he on his own to switch that?
Yeah, he's got the green light. There's parameters. He understands what the if then or what, however you want to phrase those different situations where he can get to an audible or get to a different element of a play. But it's based on looks, based on the course of the week of talking and communicating, and then it really comes down to just such great trust in him to make the right decisions, because he's doing such a good job with it.
So that first touchdown in LA, it wasn't an either or call, or he just knows if the defense shows this.
It was an adjustment he can make within the call. Yep.
Is this the first place you've been where the coaches flip seats with the players on the way back after a road win?
I've been in a mix. So not the first place, but I would like them in first class as much as possible.
We're gonna guess New England didn't do that.
a long time ago. I honestly can't remember. It's been a blur. There's so many different styles I've been a part of, but yeah.
Is there a big difference in the quality of the seat on the way back?
You know what? After a win, they're all comfortable. So that's about the difference.
Thank you.
Good. All right, thank you.